students, today we will discuss about liberalizations of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. So dear students, as we have been talking about the great impact of globalizations on Indian economy. So here we understood that the globalizations has great impact on Indian markets, on Indian trade activities. So here, due to this process of globalizations, all countries were coming together, doing the trade activities, having the foreign trade and foreign investment, and having mutual benefits in the nations. So dear students, here let us try to talk first all about the concept of liberalizations. What is called liberalizations? Liberalizations means when the government is removing all the trade barrier, all the restrictions that has been set by the government. And why the government is putting the trade barrier here? It is to protect the small producers from having competitions with the big company. And when the small producers will be having competitions with the big company, then the small producers will be having great loss in the society, because they will not be able to have competitions with the large company, because the large company will have more benefits when there will be competitions with the small producers with the large producer. So to protect the small producers, the government is putting the trade barrier and trade restrictions. So here already we have discussed that on the foreign trade policy, to protect the small producers, the government is setting the restrictions here. So dear students, what is called trade barrier? Trade barrier, it is government imposed restrictions on the free international exchange of goods as well as on services. So here, why the government is putting the trade barrier? Already I have told you that to protect the small producers, the trade barrier has been imposed by the government. So here, what is called tax on imports? It is an examples of trade barrier, and it is called a barrier because some restrictions are set up by the government. So why the government is setting this barrier? It is to protect the small producer. So here government, when the government is putting the trade barrier, at the same time government can decide and use this trade barrier to increase as well as the decrease the foreign trade, and government will decide what kind of goods should be imported to the nations, what certain goods should be exported from the nations, and what kind of goods should exported to the country here. So who is going to decide here? It is going to be decided by the government. So dear students, as we see that before 1991 there was great restrictions on foreign trade and foreign investment, but while the government was having certain kind of restrictions, it is to protect the small producers from having competitions with the large producers, and due to that government was having the foreign trade restrictions in Indian society. So here after the 1991 we see the new economic policy which is causing the foreign trade and foreign investments to be flourished in Indian society. So here why the government is removing these trade barrier and set up the new economic policy? It is to have the best quality of product. It is to have the better quality of products with a very cheaper rate. Government is removing the trade barrier, the restrictions on foreign exchange and foreign trade. And why the government is doing? Because to have the better quality of products, the government of India who is removing the trade barrier after 1991. And when the government removed these trade barriers as well as the restrictions, during that time the World Trade Organizations who is supporting this new economic policy that has been developed by the Indian government, because according to the World Trade Organizations, all countries should be integrated and every country should come together to have foreign trade and foreign investment for the mutual benefits, for the mutual developments, and that is what the criteria of World Trade Organizations. Thank you so much for listening to me.